Hi everybody, it's Sunday night, 9:30, and I am extremely excited about bringing Dalia Davis and Naomi Less from Uprooted onto this page so they can give us all a little chizuk, a little support about Purim. Purim is a Jewish holiday, as many of you know, that often is surrounded by lots of revelry and fun, and we often bringing, and often what happens is that there are lots of kids around with costumes, and there's just a lot of very hi Dalia, just talking a little bit about Purim. And I think that this is really a time that's really difficult for a lot of people, as many Jewish holidays are. And I'm so thrilled to be able to bring you and Naomi on here to help us all work through some of these emotions and these thoughts and feelings about Purim. And I'm honored to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting this, and everyone who's on, thank you so much for joining so that we can come together as we prepare to head into this holiday. So I'll just start by kind of pointing out something that many of us may be familiar with already in terms of the fact that this idea of it being a challenging time actually started probably for many of us about 12 days ago when the month began, because the idea of this month is Misha Nechnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. When the month of Adar begins, we increase in happiness. And while that might work for many people in the world, for those of us going through a fertility struggle, that can be really challenging. You might be asked to be happy right after you've gone through a loss, or maybe you've got a setback in your adoption process. Maybe it's just been another month where you were hoping to conceive and didn't. Whatever it is that you're going through this month, being told that it's a time of happiness when you're not feeling that can be a really challenging experience to go through. So I just want to start by kind of acknowledging that and saying that that's really a big part of fertility journey, and probably everyone going through that can relate to that experience. It's really kind of a universal feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, what do you think are the impacts of that idea, of those kinds of ideas, those emotions that people are feeling?
So I think it can, first of all, be kind of isolating when everyone around you is singing and dancing and, celebrating and saying that, like, now's the time for happiness. If you're not there emotionally, then you can really tend to feel alone, which is a big part of why we wanted to get together tonight, was really so that people wouldn't feel alone during this time when, people around us might be in a very happy and celebratory place.
And do you, like, what do you, I mean, what does this whole, like, Misha Nechnas Adar Marbim Simcha, about all the happiness and all of the different things that Adar is supposed to bring to us, like, and then there's the other aspect of, like, of the hiding, of Hester Panim, of hiding our faces. So how do you reconcile those two pieces?
Yeah, so I think it kind of, the idea of Hester Panim, of having a hidden face, of the idea that, like, God's name doesn't appear anywhere in the Megillah, and all of the kind of miracles seem to be very much hidden, and Esther had to hide her identity. All of that aspect really makes room for people who are not necessarily in a place of happiness when Adar comes in. The phrase Misha Nechnas Adar Marbim Besimcha doesn't necessarily mean you have to be happy. It means that it's a time when we increase in joy. So for people who are on a joy level of 9, so they'll maybe go to a 10. And if some of us are on a level of a 2, then maybe we'll see if there's anything we can do that just kind of more like self-care things that might help us get to a 3. Maybe it's a time where we realize, we really need to connect with a certain person in our life, and that will help support us through that time. But kind of anything that might get us a tiny bit more to a positive place and of a place of greater self-care. And
I love that idea, because I think it's really, it's so tangible and really accessible for so many people, because it doesn't mean, like, you should just be happy all the time. It just means for where you are sitting, if you can increase it a tiny bit, just bring a little bit more joy. And exactly as you said, like self-care is often the way that we can do that, sort of to sit and reflect and really take stock of where we are and do the things that make us happy. And even when we're in a place of sadness and difficulty. So I love that idea about not sort of having this forced happiness of like
Right.
needing to be happy, but just increasing it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Not to force it, but first to do something that's really nourishing for ourselves, and to pay more attention maybe to that self-care now than we would